This is Emily Crick, research assistant from Swansea University, speaking to Peter Holmes, City of Seattle attorney.
City attorney, yes.
So, Peter, how important was polling in constructing the campaign messages?
It was quite important. The campaign, with seed money from the American Civil Liberties Union of Washington, engaged a professional polling firm to establish where state voters were on the subject of legalization. And this was right after the attempt to overhaul our medical marijuana laws, which have been in existence since 1998, but which were partially vetoed by the governor at the time.
And so were there specific campaign messages that targeted specific demographics? And if so, what were those messages?
Excuse me, the overall broad message were three essential messages. Number one, that prohibition was a failed policy, no matter what your goals were. Second, that through legalization, we could redirect law enforcement resources more appropriately, serve greater social justice aims, and actually help address things like impaired driving and youth access. And then the third pillar, of course, was to tax it, because while we're taking this market away from an illegal industry, we want to tax it and regulate it, and then help fill in some sorely needed budget gaps.
And did you find some of those messages worked specifically well with certain groups of people?
With the testing, I don't have the exact polling breakdown at my fingertips, but I do know that some of the demographics we were concerned with were like women, say 30 to 45. That's a large, consistent voting bloc, and they would likely be voters who were also reticent about legalizing marijuana. So a lot of the efforts, for instance, emphasizing prevention of youth access and impaired driving, were strong messages for them. The other side of the coin was trying to address the law enforcement policy issue. In other words, I call this the good government rubric, and that's why when we had prosecutors get on board and explain that prohibition hasn't been working, and that we are effectively, prohibition is deregulation, getting that message across, because you have no hope of ever fully prohibiting something as widespread as marijuana with such high demand. And then, yesterday's panel, there were also personal motivations by the different sponsors. So while if the polling looks at what is the voter demographic likely to look at, and as sponsors step forward from the various fields like medicine, like law enforcement, social health providers, social service providers, we were able to construct a message that kind of kept building on itself. And whether it was newspaper endorsements or, for instance, the Children Alliance endorsement, all of those kept building on themselves as we got the message across that this is not about making marijuana more widespread or more available or anything like that. It's saying we need to change government policy. And at the end of the day, when that federal preemption issue would be addressed, our message was that 502 complements rather than conflicts with federal law, and getting that message across was one that was it was a wild ride. I can tell you that, because we had we had to both get signatures to get it on the ballot, and then of course campaign for the balloting itself.
And have you done post-vote polling to see whether these messages were effective?
There has some, but Emily, I'm sorry, I don't have that. I would put you in touch with Allison Holcomb who's back now at the ACLU. She was the campaign director, and you can, at the ACLU of Washington in Seattle, Allison Holcomb could probably share some of that data with you.
Great. And just one last question. Do you think there are any lessons that other states could learn from the experiences in Washington?
Oh, you bet. I think that the reason that we had panels that were so well attended here is because you've got 48 states to go, right? And there were 2 states that took different approaches to it. Washington was more, legalize, regulate, and tax. And, Colorado had a different approach because they had a more mature medical marijuana system already in place. And so home grows, the right to grow at home, is now part of the Colorado state constitution. It's not in Washington. And in fact, there's a proposal to eliminate home grows. I think that goes too far, but the basic approaches were that Colorado built on its medical marijuana model. We did something entirely separate and apart from medical marijuana. In fact, I-502 didn't change anything at all about our existing medical marijuana law. So any of these changes that we're talking about will have to happen by the legislature. 502 made no changes to medical marijuana, including home grows.
Great, that's wonderful. Thank you.